The Nintendo NX. Is it coming to E3 2016? Or for that matter, is it releasing in 2016? Well, the answer may have a perplexing twist. But before we discuss the possibilities of the NX, let's discuss everything we know about Nintendo's latest console. Recently, Square Enix has leaked a curious bit of information. Dragon Quest XI may in fact be one of the launch titles for the NX. Obviously, they have reworded their previous statement, and no NX footage at the moment is available. But looking at both the 3DS and PS4 versions of the game, we do have some idea of what the game can appear on the NX. And since Dragon Quest XI does release next year in 2016, we can infer that the NX may be released next year as well, or at the very least revealed that year. Additionally, a patent from Nintendo shows a schematic of a potential console. The most striking feature of the device? It does not have an optical disk drive. Instead, games will be stored on a hard drive, or perhaps read from an SD memory card. So what exactly can we expect about Nintendo's latest console? We have the guys Lewis from GVN, ProtoMario, and our friends over at Treesicle to discuss this topic. So if the NX is being released sometime next year, that would put the Wii U at a 4-year lifespan. What do you guys think about this?
Each console has to be viewed by the Japanese release time, and that changes things just slightly, but the rough estimated time frames was 4 to 5 years for the Nintendo to the Super Nintendo, 4 to 5 years from the Super Nintendo to the N64, 4 to 5 years from the N64 to the GameCube, and 4 to 5 years the GameCube to the Wii, and then the Wii to the Wii U would have been something like 7 years, and that's just due to the fact that it's cheaper to keep her and the Wii was kicking ass, so there's no point in shoving it out the door.
I didn't realize that the time frame was so short for them. I thought the normal time span was something like PlayStation and Xbox thing, but we haven't seen the same thing from Nintendo.
PlayStation 1 was released in 1995, I believe, and then the PlayStation 2 was released in around 2001-2002, so that's like 5 to 6 years at best. But again, the PlayStation 1 was kicking ass. The PlayStation 2 kicked a lot of ass, but that was a very long wait, and that was 7 years, and then again 7 more years for the PlayStation 4 roughly, so it's probably 6 to 7 years.
Yeah, I think the difference is in the earlier years of consoles, they were built sort of like in a certain cycle, but now recently with the PS3 and 360 era, they've been built more to last longer.
Yeah.
And that's why we saw that huge gap between PS3, PS4, and Xbox 360 and Xbox One. And like this generation, I'm pretty sure it's going to be like an 8 to 10 year cycle.
Going back to Dragon Quest XI, the PS4 version utilizes the Unreal 4 engine, which brings a notion that the NX can utilize the engine as well. Additionally, there are a bunch of rumors floating around that the NX may be weaker spec-wise to the PS4. What do you guys think about the NX in regards to having powerful specs? Is it vital for the console?
I think it really needs to be running x86 if it wants to survive at all. Not so much that I personally think it needs to have power to be a great console, but I think it really needs third-party support, and if it's going to keep running underpowered hardware compared to the standard, it's not going to get it because it's too much of a gamble for third parties to bring their stuff over to the NX. It seems like multiple factors. It could be that it's underpowered, that they don't want to bring their stuff over because it's so much of a hassle, and they might not make their return on the profit. And it's also the fact that Nintendo has become this console that everyone sees as just their first-party machine. Not many people that own Nintendo consoles buy third parties on their console because they already know that it's just not a console that's really supported, and so it's sort of like the thing like who's going to buy it first, the consumer or the developer.
Yeah, they're constantly expanding with new ideas and different ideas that nobody else is thinking of. I mean, what comes to mind immediately is just, they're one of their newer games, Splatoon, is something that you've never seen by anybody else. It's just a completely new and different take on a third-person shooter that we haven't seen before, where the goal of the game isn't so much killing, it's just covering ground in ink, which is really cool and interesting, but it's something else that I don't think we would find from anybody besides Nintendo.
Yeah. So I think what needs to happen is that there needs to be a system where you get a return for your investment. All of us who grew up with NESs are adults now, and the world has shifted dramatically and drastically to where everyone is connected 24/7. So when I play my Wii U and I say, hey, M Productions, let's go play some Splatoon, and I have to randomly start a game and then hope somebody drops out so he can join my game, is that not one of the most convoluted, stupid systems you've ever heard of in your life?
It's not great.
Despite the reasons for not having chat, I understand that, but there needs to be a private party system. You can get rid of in-game chat if you want to. I take it or leave it, whatever. Doesn't matter to me. But you have to have a way to connect to your friends and be able to talk to them on the fly. You have to be able to get things like achievements and show off your achievements and have something to show for them. Despite it being a useless number, this is what people need and desire and want. They want to be able to show off that they beat that game. And then you do need this third-party support, and you need a gimmick that isn't going to be outplayed or overshadowed. It screws up the flow of being able to talk with your friends and be connected with your friends if you're lonely or an alone type person, and screws up the flow in third-party development and applications. Now you have to have a second console if you have a Nintendo, because you're not going to play your Grand Theft Autos on there. And then you have the gimmicky nature, once again. So if the gimmicky nature isn't good, then you're screwed.
The way I always saw it is that Nintendo always has done something with hardware innovation, but looking back at it now, I don't think any of us ever really think of Nintendo's truly like of how great they are in terms of hardware innovation. We always look at their software. Like if you look at a game like Super Mario Galaxy, you don't think back to like, wow, the wiggling of the remote was so crazy, it was so great. No, it was the way the game actually played. And the same thing with the gamepad. Like Splatoon is awesome, but Splatoon isn't awesome because we have a second screen in our hands. It's awesome because it truly innovates on the genre. And so the way I always thought about this NX thing is if they actually just like mimic the hardware of one of the current generation consoles and added their Nintendo seal onto it, it would be, I think, a system seller. It could add the potential to win this quote-unquote console war, because the only thing that's been holding it back is support from the third parties, where the other consoles have like this gap for like take a break. Like there's not many first-party games on Xbox and PlayStation right now, but that's okay because they have this third party to fill in the gap. While on Nintendo, they don't have that gap. They have to keep releasing first party after first party, month after month. And if they had that extra third party support, it'd be perfect.
But what kind of world would we be in if Xbox One, PS4, and now Nintendo NX were all basically the same console? I don't know if I want to live in that world, guys.
Well, it wouldn't exactly be the same, because I think Nintendo, the thing that's always made Nintendo special is their own first-party hardware, their own first-party software. And the only thing that's been holding them back in terms of that software is not having the support of third parties. Like, yeah, I love playing Smash Bros. And I love playing Splatoon, but I might want to go play Arkham Knight, but I can't play that on my Wii U. I have to go get another console for that.
Earlier this year, Nintendo has partnered with DNA to branch out into mobile games, and since Nintendo has merged both its handheld and console development teams into one, I feel like Nintendo wants to merge together both handheld and console markets. The mobile platform may just feed into that multi-platform machine. So I was wondering whether or not you guys think the NX will integrate the mobile platform into their new console.
Yeah, I think you're going to be able to do that. I don't see how it's going to happen without having to pay a premium for a service. But my vision for what's probably going to happen, and you can say I'm wrong if you want to, but my vision is that the 3DS, okay, you can call it something else, whatever it's going to be with the NX, is going to have a chip in it to allow you to go on the fly anywhere you want, and you're going to connect to Nintendo servers or a cellular network, and you're going to be able to play your games on the fly while being connected 24/7, and you're going to be using your NX as a streaming station. Sorry, I've been messing around with Steam a lot, so that's going to be on. You're going to use cloud gaming or cloud networking to actually play your game on the fly, and that's what I think is going to be a possibility. Possibly.
Like the NVIDIA Shield almost.
Yeah, except that you can go anywhere with it.
See, I think I'd agree with you had it not that Nintendo's like the most lacking company in terms of online right now.
Right. So that presents the question, if they're going to be all about the mobile market, then what the hell? Like, you're not gonna develop a cell phone. I know they're not. If they develop a cell phone,
that'd be nuts.
I completely agree. That's something I'm not even. It's not even
Right?
like a factor in my brain.
So where's this gonna go then?
The way I always saw the DNA partnership was like nothing beyond apps, and not
Right.
even so much games. But the way I saw it is like make things that sort of accompany your software already. Like, don't release New Super Mario Brothers U for iPhone. Release, like, if Mario Maker was coming to the NX, make something where you could make levels on your phone, but you can't play them unless you have that device connected to your console. Same thing with like how we have apps for our PlayStation and our Xbox. I could message my friends from my phone on the Xbox Live service, or I can buy a PlayStation 4 game on my phone and have it automatically download back home on my console.
Yeah, that is a very cool feature. I like doing that on the internet also with the Xbox. The other thing we're going to see is we're going to see cross development, because we've already seen it. You know, we're going to have Pokemon Shuffle on cell phones, and we got it on 3DS first. So that's probably going to definitely be coming.
I think the reason that happened though was because Game Freak isn't technically first party; it's more like second party.
Yeah, they recently released an elephant game.
Yeah, and that's why like we see the Pokken Fighters game on arcade instead of on console already.
I do want to make one prediction. I do feel like the NX will have amiibo support. That being said though, the NX will have some sort of an NFC chip detector to use the amiibo, which can be done using the Wii U gamepad, which brings the whole backwards compatibility question into mind. And do you think the NX will be backwards compatible?
I personally don't. I can see it being compatible with the 3DS, because you can use the 3DS to control Smash Brothers on the Wii U. You can use the 3DS to do a multitude of things with the Wii U, but I honestly can't see the Wii U pad being used.
I think it's possible depending on the specs they run on this machine. If it's like still underpowered hardware, I would definitely think it's possible. But if it's something like x86, I don't think so, because it's just two different types of architecture. But I think what they need to do is just let the Wii U owners enjoy their Wii U. And there's that whole factor about them, like about consumers feeling burned out because they just bought this machine and now they have to buy this new machine. I think it's sort of like that period, like where the Virtual Boy was, where they just kind of need to accept their failure and realize that there's no point in trying to fund this thing already. Just move on to the next thing.
Is the Wii U beyond saving then?
I believe so. I think if Zelda Wii U is even still Zelda Wii U, if it's not NX or Twilight Princess, I think if that's like the final game we can expect to see for this Wii U. Beyond that, it's like we're gonna keep online for a couple of years maybe, and that's about it.
Okay, so I think if the Wii U had Cat Mario earlier, if the Wii U had Mario Kart earlier, if the Wii U had Smash Brothers earlier, if the Wii U had a Metroid game right out the gate, if the Wii U had a Zelda game right out the gate, not Hyrule Warriors, despite how good it is. You look back, the NES, 2 Zeldas, 1 Metroid, 3 Marios. You look back with the Super Nintendo, okay? You got Mario All-Star shipping with the console later on. You got Super Mario World shipping with the console. You got Super Metroid. You got Zelda. You know, all of these consoles, every single console you look at, they all either had Zelda, Mario, Metroid, or a combination of all three of them. You know, you got Metroid Prime 1 and 2 on GameCube, you got Zelda Wind Waker, then you had Twilight Princess at the end of the cycle, then you had Twilight Princess on Wii U as a launch title. Okay, you know, you had Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, you had Smash Brothers that came out pretty early in the Wii's cycle, and then you had Metroid Prime 3 come out early in the Wii cycle. No one was complaining for the first party games. You know, you can sit here and you can say, man, Splatoon is so good. You can sit here and say, man, all these games are so good. Yeah, they're good now. And what about 3 years ago? You know, no one had anything to play. Zombie U? That's why you bought a Wii U? Really? Like, come on, man. That's what killed it.
I think the difference between that time and now is the fact that it was a video game crash. There wasn't any competition. There's a brand new competitor, and I think when you say like, oh, if it launched with Zelda, it would be completely different. I think Zelda is sort of like a niche platform now. I mean, look how much Skyward Sword sold, even though there was like 90 million Wii's on the market. It didn't sell that well, and even now, let's say like people who say like, oh, if they remade Mario Sunshine or if they made Melee HD, it would be so much better. They remade Wind Waker, and that barely passed 1 million units. in June.
Everyone already played Wind Waker. It wasn't the new thing. When you jump ship from new console to new console to new console, you go from NES and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to see the graphics on this game. You go from the SNES, you go to the N64, your mind gets blown. Now we're playing with 3D. Holy crap, this is awesome. And then you go from the GameCube to the Wii, and there's not that much of a difference. So you're still excited, you're still hyped. Wind Waker was cool, and you had Twilight Princess, right? So the jump is very, very slight again. So I still feel like it's just Nintendo's not providing enough for people to want to spend $200 on a console.
This is probably just wishful thinking, but I really want to see a Metroid game as a launch title for the NX. We still don't know what Retro Studios is working on, so there is some hope. In other words, what do you guys want to see in terms of a launch title for the NX?
Well, I mean, they said, can you dig it? That sounds like a Dig Dug remake.
Or Shovel Knight remake.
Or a Shovel Knight remake. There you go.
It's obviously
it's made.
obviously the
Metroid Prime
official
Soccer.
Joe Dirt video game.
That would be awesome, actually.
I just want to continue playing great Nintendo games. I have no problem with the Wii U personally. I understand what it is. But the point is, man, I want to see a regular controller in my hands with the Nintendo logo on it. And I want to be enjoying Nintendo games.
I think we can all agree on that. I think we all want to enjoy Nintendo games in the future.
Yeah.
A lot of us grew up with Nintendo being the primary console, and thus far in the last 10 years it hasn't been. But it would be good to see something that could compete better.
I hope whatever happens that it is a success, because I think Nintendo is really good for the industry as a whole. It provides something different than PS4 or a PlayStation or Xbox type games or type mentality. Just that sort of innovation is really healthy for the industry. I think they should be careful because Wii U didn't sell very well. Mobile gaming is starting to take over 3DS market. If they don't get another console hit, I mean, I don't want us really. I don't hope this doesn't happen, but who knows what could happen to Nintendo in another decade? I don't want them out of the console market for good. I don't want another Sega to happen, but for Nintendo, that's not something I want to see.
I can agree that Nintendo. I get what the Wii U is. It's a fun thing. I enjoy mine. I play it all the time. I've been playing my Wii U a lot more than my PS4 and my Xbox. But that's just I'm just an individual. And I'm like a Nintendo fan. There's Nintendo fans everywhere. But if this thing truly wants to survive, I'm like, essentially it has to be this next gen console, like an Xbox One and a PS4 with the Nintendo logo on it, with Nintendo games on it. I think that's the only way it's gonna survive. They gotta stop being stubborn and just get with the times. I think it's not even so much that like power things, but like the Wii U essentially could have been like a PS3 or 360 like system. Yet it's still lacking features like online networking. That's like with modern times, and it's like, even though they get things right, there's always that one thing that they mess up really badly on. With the GameCube, like technically the GameCube was the most powerful console at the time, yet they for some reason went with mini DVD, which ended up costing third parties a lot of resources. Whenever they wanted to port it over their games from PS2 and Xbox to GameCube, they had to shrink this 4.7 gigabyte game down to 1.5 just to fit it on the GameCube. So just get with the times, I think, would be what I want them to do.
Is the NX going to be revealed at E3 2016? Probably. My hope is that the NX has a good launch.
Woo! Metroid Prime Soccer.
Yeah, that would be fucking amazing.
Launch title on NX. Only game for 6 months.
But I do worry about the NX's exclusive third-party support. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and this has been M Productions.
Kevin and Tyler for Treesicle.
Yes, indeed.
Luis from Gaming Vlog Network.
And me, ProtoMario.
And we will see you guys another time. Have a good one.